Here as we are joined via telephone by the national spokesman for the Congress for Racial Equality. Also, he happens to be a candidate for the Republican nomination for Congress in Nevada's 4th congressional district. And for purposes of full disclosure, about a year ago we were working together for the TeaParty.net. He's my friend Niger Ennis. Niger, welcome back to America's Forum.
Brother JD, great to be on with you as always.
Well, Niger, I understand that obviously you hope to go to Congress and represent Nevada. You have spoken before with Cliven Bundy, and I believe you had a chance to visit with him yesterday. Can you clue us in on the nature of your conversation, how long it lasted, and what you drew out of that experience speaking to Mr. Bundy, whose comments have been very ill received across the country in terms of race relations?
No question. And, of course, we did address his comments. And, first of all, it wasn't the first time that I met with Cliven. I met with Cliven about 2.5 weeks ago before the whole firestorm around the Bundy Ranch in Bunkerville came to the imagination of the national media. I went up there because a former local legislator called me up. He knew I was running for Congress. He was supporting me, but he called for help. He says, look, this situation in Bunkerville is potentially dangerous. It's dangerous to the residents of Bunkerville. It's dangerous to the BLM officers that are there. It is a very combustible situation, and Niger, we need you to help bring some national attention to this situation. So I went to meet with Cliven, met him, his wonderful wife, his children, his grandchildren. We ate together. We spent some time together, and he educated me on the situation and his perspective on things. So, and I anticipated, and I came out publicly. I went on Sean Hannity's show. I did a couple of other national radio shows and TV shows to talk about the situation up there because, JD, when I approached the BLM officer when I was up in Bunkerville, he unstrapped his holster as if I was a threat to him. And I just knew, and look, I have nothing but appreciation and respect for these officers that are trying to do their job. I, on the other hand, have real problems with the bureaucrats out of Washington, D.C. that have put them in such a dangerous predicament and put the citizens of that community in a dangerous predicament. I'm glad that due to the national attention that those of us brought to this case, that eventually the BLM backed down.
But we've got only about a minute left here, and I really want to drill down on race relations because, boy, you've just made news. If an officer unholstered a weapon for you, a congressional candidate, now, obviously, that's way out of line, but what Cliven Bundy had to say, I would imagine you thought that's way out of line, too. You got about a minute. Tell us what happened in the conversation.
Well, yeah, we talked for about an hour. It was a good give and take, okay? And at first, Cliven kind of stood his ground and said, I said what I said, and I stand by it. And I communicated to Cliven, and this is when he really got it. I said, Cliven, the freedom of choice, the freedom to use our lands, the people of Nevada to use our lands for economic development, and so on and so forth, against the federal government, is that freedom that you're fighting for is the freedom that was denied to millions of African Americans. That was the greatest sin of slavery, is that it denied millions of African Americans of their ability to pursue happiness. And it's when I said that, it was almost like a light bulb went on. He apologized to me. He said I should not have used that analogy.
We only got about 15 seconds. Is he going to say that publicly, you think, Niger?
He did not say that publicly. I hope he does.
We hope so too, Niger.
And he does.
We're going to have to leave it there. Good luck to you in your congressional campaign. Thanks for checking in. America's Forum continues.
Brought to you by the Nutrition Watchdog.
Hi, this is certified nutritionist and best-selling health and weight loss author Joel Marion. And in today's fast-paced and information-packed presentation, I'm going to show you, right before your eyes, the surprising reason why carbohydrates like bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, and cereals are making you fat, keeping you fat, and even worse, elevating your blood sugar levels to dangerous levels. But not for any of the reasons you might think.
To continue and discover the #1 trick to do before you eat carbs, head to www.worstcarbever.com.
Imagine if you had a secret code for making money, a code buried deep within biblical texts.
A code that certain investment titans have quietly exploited to amass billions.
And what if this code could be used by you today to unlock vast amounts of wealth safely and ethically?
Investment expert and former pastor Sean Hyman says there is such a code. He calls it the Biblical Money Code. Sean credits this code for helping him turn his father's $40,000 retirement account into $396,000.
And today, you have the chance to tap into this life-changing biblical money code by visiting moneycode50.com.
That's moneycode, the number 50.com.
At moneycode50.com, you will find a free video that describes how you could use this biblical code in your own life to get out of debt and invest for profits.
That's moneycode50.com.
In 2014, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you're robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at aftbook.com. That's aftbook.com.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Back with America's Forum on Newsmax TV, and back to a conversation with Niger Innes, the spokesperson for the Congress of Racial Equality, and also a gentleman who hopes to serve in the United States Congress. He's a candidate for the Republican nomination from Nevada's 4th Congressional District. Niger, we wanted to give you a couple of minutes, again, just to go back to your conversation yesterday with Cliven Bundy and that hour you spent with him on the phone. In your estimation, does rancher Cliven Bundy now get it about the scourge of slavery and what African Americans endured here in the United States?
I think he does get it, okay? Having talked to him privately, he told me he got it, okay, and he apologized. Unfortunately, he also has an important point that he very clumsily is trying to make, but he has an important point that he's trying to make, and unfortunately he keeps getting falling into the trap of falling back into that metaphor and into that comparison that got him in trouble. What he is trying to say, what would have been better said, is if Cliven had said, look, there are a number of blacks and Latinos and poor whites now that are involved in a neo-slavery, which is a slavery of government dependence. You know, I'm up here in Tonopah, which is part of my district, and I was just talking with a local businesswoman who pointed across the street and talked to me about low-income housing or free government-subsidized housing, and how the people there do not work because they don't have to. They may not even know that they are slaves, but they are, in fact, there is a neo-slavery that exists. When you take out individual initiative, individual responsibility, and the hope that every individual is born with to better their lives, to climb the economic ladder, to pursue happiness, that is, in fact, a neo-slavery.
Well, we really appreciate that, Niger Innes, and we're going to leave it right there, but we look forward to talking to you as the campaign continues, and we thank you for your update on your hour-long